If you're a runner, you've definitely heard the golden rule, right? Never, ever increase your weekly mileage by more than 10%. But what if I told you that rule isn't just kinda wrong, but it might actually be holding you back? Today, we're diving deep into the science that is completely rewriting the runner's rulebook.
So, let's just ask the question right out of the gate. We're all told to follow this rule, like it's gospel, all to avoid getting hurt. But is it actually working, or is it just this piece of outdated advice that doesn't really hold up to what we know now? You know, the answer might actually surprise you. Because here's the reality. Get this, the data shows that a whopping 60% of all running injuries are caused by training errors. And the number one mistake? Yeah, you probably guessed it, ramping up your training volume way too fast. It's that classic story of our ambition just outpacing our body's ability to adapt. And this brings us right to a trap that pretty much every dedicated runner, myself included, falls into at some point. We get in our heads that more miles automatically equals more fitness. But our bodies, well, they have a biological speed limit, and ignoring it is the absolute fastest way to end up on the sidelines. So let's talk about what's really going on inside your body. It's called tissue adaptation. See, every single run you do creates these tiny little micro tears in your muscles and puts stress on your bones. And that's a good thing. That's the signal to get stronger. But the real magic, the training, it happens during recovery when your body rebuilds everything. And here's the catch. This process takes weeks, not days. So if you just keep piling on new stress before those repairs are finished, you're on a fast track to injury. And this is exactly where that old 10% rule just starts to crumble. For years, it was gospel. But when scientists actually put it to the test with hundreds of runners, they found something kind of mind-blowing. The group that stuck to the 10% rule got injured at pretty much the same rate as the group that didn't. So the rule we all thought was protecting us, turns out it really wasn't.
Okay, so if 10% isn't the magic number, then what is? Well, newer research gives us a much clearer, evidence-based guideline. So let's take a look at what the data actually tells us.
Now this chart right here, this is a total game changer. It shows that, yeah, increasing your weekly mileage by less than 10% is low risk. No big surprise there. But look at that middle bar. Going anywhere between 10 and 30% is only moderately riskier. The real danger zone, the cliff you can fall off of, is when you jump more than 30%. Your risk of getting injured literally more than doubles. And this quote just nails it. The study was crystal clear. Crossing that 30% threshold in a 2-week period is like playing Russian roulette with your training. It's not some gradual increase in risk, it's a huge, dramatic spike. But wait, the story gets even more interesting. Because it turns out that even if you're super careful and keep your weekly increase under 30%, there's another hidden danger that most of us completely miss. Now, this is a huge shift in thinking. For so long, we've all been obsessed with our weekly totals, right? But what the new research is pointing to is that the biggest risk factor might be getting a little too ambitious on one single run. And here is the number that should make every single one of us press pause. If your longest run this week is more than double your longest run from the past month, your injury risk skyrockets by a staggering 128%. Think about that. That one hero run can undo months of really careful, consistent training. So let's just lay it all out, side by side. The old 10% rule? It's rigid. It's not really backed by science, and it totally misses the danger of that single big run. The new framework is just smarter. The 30% threshold is an evidence-based maximum. It's a ceiling, not a weekly goal, and it forces us to pay attention to those dangerous spikes in our long runs. Okay, that's the science. So, what do we do with all this? How do we actually put this into practice and build a smarter, safer training plan? Let's walk through it. It's really just a simple 4-step process. First, you got to know your baseline. Just average your last 2 or 3 consistent weeks. Step 2, calculate your absolute ceiling. That's your baseline times 0.30. But here's the crucial part. Step 3, you want to aim for a much more conservative 10 to 15% increase. That's your sweet spot. That's where progress lives. Then you just add that to your baseline and boom, you've got your new weekly goal. Now here's what a smart progression actually looks like in the real world. You see those small, steady increases in weeks 3 and 4. Nice and easy. But look closely at week 5, the cutback week. This planned drop in mileage is absolutely essential. It lets your body finally catch up and fully adapt. And because of that, you can then have a bigger rebound week, like you see in week 6. That 44% jump looks crazy, but it's safe because it's coming off a week of recovery, not another week of hard training. And this right here, this illustrates the intensity trap, a mistake so many of us make. You might look at your log and see you only increased your mileage by a safe 7%. You think, great, I'm being smart. But if you also added a tough speed session that week, your actual training load, the total stress on your body, could have jumped by over 30%, putting you right back in that danger zone. The lesson is so simple. Add volume or intensity, but never, ever both at the same time.
So we've debunked the old rule, we've explored the new science. Now let's just boil all of this down into a clear, actionable playbook that you can start using today.
These are the 4 rules to run by. First, think of 30% as your emergency brake, not your gas pedal. Aim for 10 to 15%. Second, keep your long runs in check, no crazy jumps. Third, build in those crucial cutback weeks every month. And finally, respect the difference between volume and intensity. You master these 4 things, and you'll be building a foundation for years of consistent, injury-free running. So really, the whole point is this. We need to change how we think about progress. It's not about these aggressive jumps or chasing big mileage numbers every single week. True, lasting improvement, it comes from consistency. And the secret ingredient to consistency, it's patience. So, the final question is, are you ready to make patience your new secret weapon?